Send an arc on that M, making an M. And speaking of which, we are now here on Elxido LE. We're in the top right-hand corner map. Starting all the way in the top right-hand corner, we have the Blues player coming out from Atlanta, Korea. He has been absolutely at the top, at least been the top 3 Zerg player throughout 2020. And now he's got a NightMare ahead of him. See what I did there? Representing Generic Green Wings Jaguar, we have Rogue.
And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Oxide LE. They changed it again, Yaku. We have the South Korean Protoss player, the Purple Protoss, representing a team that is constantly changing their logo in-game to another anime. God damn it. I'm shaking my head. Team Envy, it is NightMare.
I think the last time we were informed that it was from a gacha game.
Uh-huh.
Is it from the same game?
Is this hold on, is Team Envy sponsored by Genshin Impact and they're just like cycling through?
That would make so much sense, because Genshin Impact, wait, is there an esports for Genshin?
I don't think so.
No, because it can be like gotta catch all the gachas, right?
Yeah, gotta, Pokemon.
The winner is whoever spends the most money, so really the winner is the company behind it.
Yeah, the winner is the company, yeah. The winner is China. The
winner is China.
Oh god. Yep, pretty much. Alright, we are getting into this PvZ, and I would love the storyline. Again, like, he is the underdog, but the winner of this series is gonna go up against Dream.
Yep, and it would just be something to watch NightMare versus Dream, but we'll see. Maybe a Rogue is coming in here. He's invading the minds of the players, so to speak. And okay, already we do have NightMare having a little bit of an advantage in that he did force Rogue to go for that unnatural location for his second base. We'll see how NightMare decides to capitalize on this. He doesn't seem to be going too aggressive so far.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for him to throw down his tech structure, whether it's going to be Stargate or Twilight Council. That's really going to dictate how he wants to play this game. And oh, here we go.
Twilight Council.
Yeah, going to be a Twilight.
For now, anyway.
Okay, so you were talking about how, like, Rogue was forced to take this third base as is natural. Like, it could indicate that NightMare wants to take advantage of this and go for something like Glaive Adepts, but ooh, we do have the Robo coming out. Are we going to see a Twilight Count? Sorry, a Dark Shrine being thrown down after this?
That's what I'm thinking right now, because I don't see too many gates out just yet, but then again, it's not. It isn't quite the time to start throwing down all those gateways. We'll see where he branches from. There we go. There's a glaive.
Ooh.
And from here, we should be seeing a couple more gateways. And yeah, let's see how NightMare is able to execute this.
Okay. Yeah, we'll see how many gates get thrown down as well. But this is, I mean, again, we were talking about it. Like, this could work well for NightMare. Meanwhile, Rogue, he hasn't gone in for a scout quite yet, so he isn't aware of NightMare's opener.
That he is not. And not playing it too safe right now, just playing it out a little bit more standard. There goes Roach Warren, which is just overall a pretty good defensive unit for Zerg, especially against these glaives.
Yeah, definitely. Again, Rogue hasn't scouted anything, and we still do see this 4-gate Glaive Adept going to be coming out from NightMare. Again, I'm really curious to see how Rogue is going to defend against this, because I don't think I've had the luxury of casting Rogue, defend against Glaive Adepts. I'm really curious to see how he does, because there are some players who just like wall off the natural. There are others who get a big wave of wings to chase the shade. Then they have roaches follow up. I do like that he is playing this safe and he's getting spores, because he isn't sure if it is DTs or not.
Yeah, just playing it about as safe as he can without sacrificing too much of the economy. And okay, let's take a look right now at NightMare split. Will he commit? He does commit to the shade. And there are some very isolated queens right now.
But you know what?
Good surround.
Exactly. The Adepts themselves are isolated and they are surrounded, so the majority of them do go down. Meanwhile, we do have NightMare reinforcing this with more Adepts, but again, it looks like for the most part, Rogue has held beautifully.
That he has, and now NightMare, I mean, he's realized that this battle is just about over. Is he actually going to continue to warp in? He's continuing to warp in. The madman.
He has to. He has to basically keep Rogue at home. And, you know, at some point, it only takes like 3 or 4 Adepts to shade into a mineral line, and then you can just absolutely decimate it. Like, things can really snowball out of control. So we do see NightMare is still, you know, posturing out here. Meanwhile, he is going for that Disruptor follow-up.
Absolutely. Just really... Ideally, what would happen right now is that NightMare is going to be able to sort of split Rogue's attention here and is able to sneak just a couple of those Adepts into one mineral line and really start to decimate it. But behind that, really starting to build up that anti-Roach Ravager army with those Disruptors. Actually getting Warp Prism speed.
I was gonna say I was really confused because he delayed Warp Prism speed for so long. Normally you start it at the same time as your first Disruptor, so then by the time Warp Prism speed finishes, you have 2 Disruptors, and then you can immediately go zoom across the map with your Warp Prism. So yeah, he delayed it a little bit. I mean, regardless, the Warp Prism has to go home to pick up those Disruptors.
That it does. Well, I guess it could recall home if it really had to. But yeah, not quite gonna be the case. Oh
god.
Oh, but he canceled the shade.
Yeah, he canceled. Everything's gonna go down.
Everything's gonna go down. A beautiful flank coming out here from Rogue, and the shades are not gonna be able to finish here. All of the Adepts completely popped, and now Rogue is going straight for the counterattack. There are Disruptors out here, but are the Zerglings too quick? That was a beautiful Purification Nova. But Zerglings, I mean, they're a very expendable unit, and already another Purification Nova. Really wasted.
Yeah, definitely. It literally got no damage whatsoever, and Rogue, he was able to confirm that it was a Disruptor follow-up. Again, like, it is quite common to go for an Immortal Sentry push after, like, a failed or after the Glaive Death, so we do see that it is Disruptors, and Rogue confirms it.
Yeah, and already going to be dealing with it accordingly. Going to go for that Spire. Nice little bile there. That was all calculated.
Yeah, definitely. And already, like, NightMare, he was forced to use his disruptors defensively. He's forced to, like, try and use them here in the center of the map. Like, he would have loved to have gone into a mineral line or something. And yeah, Rogue has just been buying so much time.
So they can go into a mineral line. This has been caught out here from Rogue, so I don't think the Purification Nova should be getting too much. Okay, yeah, injures the Queen.
Yeah, not bad.
Positioning of the Spore Crawler. Or puts him in a lot of trouble. Yeah, NightMare ain't going to be going back to that base anytime soon. Oh
yeah, not with all these spores and all these queens for defense. It's going to be a suicide mission. Going to try and find some damage somewhere else. But again, what's important is that NightMare, he has not scattered the Spire. He does not know that mutas are going to be on the way.
That he does not. I mean, may have a little bit of an inkling. I mean, should know that, you know, that's what a Zerg player can do or would like to do when they scout the Disruptors. Pretty good Purification Nova. Does take out a decent amount of the Lings there, and sure, they're an expendable unit, but it can't stack up. You know, the amount of minerals spent on the Zerglings, or the amount of buffer that these Roach Ravager would have or wouldn't have.
Yeah, more importantly, like the larva as well. Like, things are so larva intensive, so a lot of that was kind of wasted. We do see this fourth base should go down. Like, there's so many sentries, so much energy for force fields to just kind of lock Rogue out.
Yep, and Rogue decides not to even bother. He knows that if one slip-up happens, everything could go wrong. So, this forfeits the base. Did he cancel it or did he kill it? Well, either way, he killed it. Very nicely done there by NightMare, but now he's got a lot more to deal with. Really good sight there on the shield battery. Just makes it so much harder for the Stalkers to defend. Purification Nova, I mean, again, getting a lot of Lings. Yeah, but behind that...
Exactly, like the problem is the mutas, you know, they just dive in, they were able to kill so many Stalkers, they dive into the mineral line as well. We don't have Game Heart, but he is killing so many probes, and there's not really too much here to stop them, just panic warping in Stalkers. Yeah,
at least 20 probes have gone down to this, and just the Stalkers just gonna be enough to chase away the Mutalisk, but already we can sort of see the effects of that harass.
Yeah, we do see NightMare. He is down in workers. He's stuck on 3 bases. Rogue, he is trying to establish a 4th, and you know, it is good that NightMare was able to kill the 4th earlier, but he has to try and deal with these mutas.
all of these Mutas, as well as the Lings, as well as the Ravagers here. Okay, maybe not so much the Ravagers, but definitely the Mutalisks and the Zerglings. Every time these Stalkers blink backwards to try to keep themselves alive, they open up more and more. But these Lings are going to beautiful Purification Nova, but is it going to be enough?
There's not enough that shoots up. Like all the Stalkers died.
Sentry's RP.
Yeah, all the Stalkers died to Lings, and the Mutas are just raining down on all the sentries. There are just Disruptors and Adepts left, and it's not enough.
GG is called. So much Zerg happening towards the end there. Rogue really making some very smart decisions and really reacting very just very safely and solidly. Yeah.
Yeah.
They'd have a follow-up there. I was kind of hoping you would. I was like, yes. It's a good thing I'm casting with a Zerg, with somebody who understands Zerg.
As I was distracted by Rogue sending us the invites, and we are going to be getting into game number 2. And again, NightMare, he was just kind of on the back foot. His Adepts really never got into a mineral line. He was never able to really deal any kind of economic damage whatsoever. Like Rogue, his drone count was perfectly fine throughout the entire game. Sure, he lost a 4th at one point, but that was really it, you know?
Yeah, it definitely was. I feel like what was happening there was the case where NightMare was dealing with the problem in front of him, except Rogue was already setting up another 3 behind that. But let's see if that's going to be the case here on game number 2, starting off on Death Aura LE. The LE, of course, standing for length. In the top left-hand corner of the map, spawning all the way in the top left-hand corner, we have the Blues player coming down from South Korea. I believe it's Seoul at the moment. Yeah, probably Seoul, if they're still around. Yeah, because Super 10 is still happening. And so, yeah. So that's... We have the player representing Generic Greenwing's Jaguar, already up 1-0 in his best of 3. He is the sexy boy himself, Rogue.
And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Death Aura LE, we have the South Korean Protoss player, the Purple Protoss, representing Team NV. It is NightMare.
Do you think the anime girl is like motivation? Do you think the players get to pick? Do you think the players get to pick who gets on the logo based on I mean, I guess it can be a rotation.
I was about to say, I imagine.
Wait, but then does Creator get to pick? Because he has the NV clan tag, but he's on Jin Air.
Now, I was about to say that I imagine it's on like a weekly rotation where it's like, all right, Creator, this week you get to pick, you know? And really, that's why. That's the only reason. Well, that's the only reason why he's on the clan. He just wants that, because there's no Jin Air in-game clan, you know?
There isn't. And you know why there isn't? Because Creator, he put his foot down. He used his veto power. He said, look, we can only have a clan tag for Jin Air if we get to have a rotation of anime waifus.
God damn it.
No one else would agree with that.
Exclamation mark Funada Vortex in the chat. He's like, yes, a man of culture, I see. It's like, God damn it.
Look at the goddamn duct tape.
Go to bed, Vortex. What are you doing awake right now? Go to bed.
We love you, Vortex.
Oh my god. But we do see that this game, in game number 2, NightMare, he's switching things up on Death Aura. We do not see a Twilight Council opener.
Yeah, it said we're going to be seeing what we see about 75% of the time from Protoss on Death Aura, at least in the PBZ, that being the Stargate opener.
Yeah, and I'm really curious to see how NightMare is going to play this out, because there are a couple of different ways, right? Like, you can go into Phoenixes, you can go Void Ray first, you can go old school stats and go like triple Oracle, right? Yeah,
I mean, you're saying you're curious as to how NightMare's going to play this out. I have only one question. How many Oracles? Or I guess in this case, how many Void Rays? As you're going to be going for the safer, more standard direction with this Stargate.
Yeah, just going for a Void Ray first is going to be working on killing or clearing out all these overlords to try and hide the tech, and from here we'll see if NightMare throws down the second Stargate, which would be amazing, or if he goes into a Twilight Council, which we have seen as well.
Yeah, there are really a lot of ways for Protoss to play this out.
Yeah, and so far, one Oracle.
One Oracle. So far, I think it's the key word or phrase right now. Yeah, like the Rogue is getting prepared for that Stargate opening, just going for the spores. Here's my question, Light. If you were a Protoss player, would it not just be worth it to go for double Oracles if you're going to reveal your hand that early on? Because again, with the double Oracle, you get so much more. You just get so much more. Not utility, but you can risk a lot more, right? You can tank some damage with these spores. So you know, obviously, your opponent's going to go for spores.
Yeah, exactly.
And two more.
Exactly. So
I just caught up.
I did not think that this was going to happen. This is something that I've seen before. We've seen players from Taiwan do it. We've seen players from Latin America do it. I haven't seen a Protoss player from South Korea do it, but NightMare, he is not afraid. He is going triple Stargate, mate. Wow. Is all I've got to say behind that. Yep. And
is he going to throw it on Fleet Beacon too?
I imagine so afterwards. So typically what you do is, depending on the variant, because there are so many different variants, you can go mass Oracle, but the straight up regular way to do this is you go mass Void Ray, you get like maybe 6 Void Rays out, then you throw down the Fleet Beacon, and then you go straight into carriers.
I am liking this more and more as time as this game unfolds, like, because Rogue, he is going for his Roach Warren. All right, the Lair is getting thrown down, so could be a switch into Spire. Not a bad option here, especially if Mutas are going to be involved against these Void Rays.
Yeah, well, the thing is, like, even if he goes Spire, like, if NightMare scouts it, he has triple Stargate to just switch into Phoenixes. Like, that's the beauty of this. Like, the ideal, like, thing to go for is that Rogue should be going to Hydras from here, because Hydras, they do well against Void Rays and Carriers. And, oh my god, immediately, Hydra Den being thrown down.
Immediately, Hydra Den, yeah. Which I guess is the safer option. You know that your opponent... I mean, Rogue doesn't know how dedicated NightMare is going to be to these Stargates, but he knows that he's going for Stargate. So, yeah, may as well just play it out more safe, not as aggressive. You know, doesn't have as many opportunities to really go across the map and harass, but it keeps him alive. Is the thing. Yeah,
what's important is that Rogue still hasn't scouted the main base. He isn't aware of what tech NightMare has gone for. So because of that, he is still committing to things like roach speed, and like he could even make a couple of roaches as well. Like he isn't aware of how much he has to dedicate to the Hydras, at least until he spots these Void Rays.
Yeah, NightMare just trying to keep them safe or keep them out of sight, but the Lings are too fast. They do see the Void Rays. And that should be the tip-off right now for Rogue. He should not be making too many roaches. I guess he can make a couple of Ravages, but the main thing he really wants to focus on are his Hydras, and then his transition out of the Lair tech.
Yeah, and we'll see how fast NightMare is able to get an answer to these Hydras, because he's aware of what Rogue is going to be going for. That's why it's so important that he's getting this Twilight Council, like working on like your AoE to support your Sky Toss, like working on either Storm or Archon or Charge Lots or something to help support them is so important. Otherwise, you will just die to mass Hydra.
Yeah, it very much is. And for now, it seems to be the cheaper option of getting some just some Zealots to sort of buffer against the Hydras and bruise them up a little bit. And before the Air Army cleans them out, really just getting as many production buildings as you can. NightMare is right now.
Yeah, and I'm so surprised that NightMare hasn't stopped Void Ray production. Like, I'm used to players like only getting a handful of Void Rays to gain map control, and then you transition into like Storm and Archon and Charge Lots. But he's just non-stop pumping out Void Rays.
Is he not aware that Rogue is gonna be more Hydra focused, or is there a reason?
He hasn't scouted the Hydra Den, and I guess he hasn't scouted the main army, but he should be aware. Like, oh my god.
Yep, that is definitely oh my god. The Hydra's managing to flank from the ground onto the air. That's a lot of Void Rays, but once these Hydras start to group up and they can get all their volleys off, it should not be much of a bother for these Void Rays to start going down. like so. How many of them have died so far already? 5 of them.
Exactly.
That's a lot of minerals.
Mate, we need to like DM NightMare and show him a Parker Mike VOD or something, because because Parker Mike, like this is something that you should be expecting. You should be expecting this mass Hydra. You need to transition out of the Void Rays, but he's just making more and more of them.
He's continuing to make Void Rays, like...
And it's not like he even has the Fleet Beacon. Exactly. If you're going to commit this much to Void Rays, throw down the Fleet Beacon for the Void Ray upgrades at least for Flux Veins, but he's just committing to this, and now all the Void Rays are just going to die.
Exactly. This is a completely wasted investment. This is basically buying up all of Blockbuster stock in 2011.
Oh my god, exactly. Like, it was not a good investment at all. We do have a bunch of shield batteries here to help defend, to help keep all of these Void Rays alive, but you know what, NightMare, he lost the 4th base, and now Rogue, he's just free to expand all over the place. Like, there's nothing really stopping him. Like, if NightMare pushes out, he's just gonna lose the army.
Absolutely. In the blink of an eye, he was able to just regain map control. And honestly, this is a very scary Zerg army against what is not a very intimidating Protoss army. The shield batteries definitely help out, but there are just so many Hydras.
Exactly.
I guess the one thing that NightMare has going for him is he can buffer with the charge hooks a little bit, but he doesn't have a lot of charges to begin with.
Exactly. He's just... he did get that Fleet Beacon. He is working on Flux Veins. Oh my god, but will he even survive long enough for that to come into play? He does have a lot of sentries for force fields.
Yeah, and those are some pretty good force fields, but Groove Spine Hydras, man, they do not care about being at the bottom of the ramp. As long as you're on the edge of the ramp, they want to shoot.
Exactly. And you know what? Like, to be fair, NightMare, he's trading pretty efficiently here. Like, he has so many minerals. Like, he desperately, like, if he had, like, maybe 10, 20 more Zealots here, like, he'd be amazing. But, yeah, he's kind of focusing, tunnel visioning a little bit.
Absolutely. He hasn't been making too many more units out of this. His gateways have been pretty much untouched for a while. A couple of centuries, and then not much else behind that.
Yeah, it doesn't help that he only has... Okay, never mind. He does have 7 gateways. So, again, yeah, like, he has been missing a couple of warp-in cycles. Again, look at how many minerals he has. He's not supply blocked or anything like that. But again, like, he's kind of stuck in this weird tech where... Imagine this army, but with, like, Storm. You know, like, 4 High Templar. Storm would do so well. Like, or Disruptors, even. It's not ideal, but something to deal with this.
Yeah, a couple of carriers here and there, just to really piece it all together.
Yeah, it definitely feels like NightMare. He's missing something to really complete this composition. Again, shout out to Paco Mike, man. Paco Mike knows that.
This is how we know this much about Stargate.
Oh,
and there we go. The carriers are being made.
The carriers are finally being made. But you know what? Like, Rogue is maxed out, and he's not going to be waiting for the carriers.
No, he is not. This is not even Neat Vipers at the moment. He is just going to be burrowing right on top of his army. Ooh. All the Ducklings managed to stream in, and some pretty good pair bombs. Very good pair bomb.
Oh my god!
There's another pair bomb. Oh, NightMare thought that was only 1. Oh. There were 2 in the end.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, that was devastating. So much damage was done to all the Void Rays. They were all bunched up to those power bombs. And now the Nexus goes down. The Hydras are trying to push on top of this army. Sure, the carriers just popped out. But mate, they don't have enough interceptors.
They do not. They're just immediately going to fall down to these Hydralists. And sure, Rogue is starting to lose more and more of them as the reinforcements from NightMare come in. But just look at the army supply right now. Rogue does not even care about losing this army.
Exactly. He's just fighting it. He's just reinforcing and just continuing to apply pressure. No more interceptors left for these carriers. The Void Rays are only barely alive. There are more carriers on the way, but again, like, this isn't really ideal to deal with Hydras. Like, essentially, Rogue can just make mass nothing but Hydras. Just mono battle it up and he's fine.
That he can, and just looking at the bases he's got, there's not much stopping him from doing so. Another really good pair bomb right in the heart of this air army. Very good split, much quicker this time, but still will lose a lot of sky units. The shield battery's just about out of energy, and they are too far away from the Nexus to overcharge. This is looking like the beginning of the end. This is looking like the middle of the end. This is looking like the end of the end.
This is the end of the end, mate. The Cybernetics core gets taken out. GG gets called.
GG Rogue gonna be taking that series 2-0. Now up into quarterfinals, gonna be facing Dream in what I promise to be a very, very hyped TBZ.
Oh yeah, it was amazing to watch Rogue versus Beyond last week, Rogue versus Dream. I mean, I can't imagine they're gonna disappoint.
That I cannot. But the thing is, when I think about Dream, I do have a little bit of caution here, just because Dream, I feel like he's more known for his TVP than his TVC. Maybe way back in the day of Heart of Swarm, he has some really good TVZ, arguably some of the best in the world at that time. But nowadays, when I think of Dream, I think of him more for his TVP. But we'll see.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's the thing, right? Like, to be fair, Dream, one of his most famous series was against one of the best Zerg players in the world. Like, Dream has had these amazing games, and I mean, to be fair, that was years ago. That was before his military service. Now that he's back, I'm really curious to see how he's gonna do.
That I will now. That I am as well. I'm just really curious as to how his multi-pronged style, how that kind of fits with the dynamic here against Rogue.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and I'm really curious to see what he whips out as well, because like, I've seen him play. I can't remember if it was Dream or Beyond or even both, where they play that time style where they just like dropped Widow Mines all over the place last week.
I'm gonna say both.
Yeah, because I remember there was another player other than Time that was going for that.
Other than Time that was going for that.
Yeah.
Bunny.
It wasn't Bunny. We haven't casted Bunny in a while, unfortunately.
Yeah. If only. Then we could look at the Team NV anime girl again.
If only.